Okay, on to the recap. Becca, you want to start us off?
The story opens with our main character, Samara, waking up on her pallet in the corner of the kitchen. We follow her as she prepares breakfast, wakes her 3 evil brothers up, and generally has a miserable existence.
Yeah, each brother is a different type of cruel, right? Both to Samara and just in general. Big dickheads. Anyways, Samara cooks, cleans, and keeps house for them while they go out into the enchanted forest and hunt for the entire village of Nat before coming home to abuse her some more.
And her abuse and traumatized existence is all made worse because she can't stop thinking about the Fae Lord, whom she loved, but who left her 7 years ago after she cut off his hand.
Or at least that's what we're led to believe. Okay, I think we've sufficiently set up just how horrible Samara's life is. So, one day, her brothers are especially cruel and Samara decides to end her life. But a handsome prince happens across her in the forest and convinces her not to. He proposes and she accepts so that she can leave her current awful life.
This feels suspicious already. That night, a fox warns Samara of the trouble that will happen after the prince takes her away and how she can survive it.
Yep, because that's what foxes do. I didn't know if you were aware, but...
It's their role.
So, the next morning, Prince Henry, he has a name by the way, Prince Henry gives Samara's 3 brothers an absurd amount of gold and whisks Samara away in his carriage.
But the carriage is set upon by thieves and the prince is unalived. Before the thieves can unalive Samara, a fae comes to her rescue, unaliving the thieves and then hiding her from her brothers when they show up in the aftermath of the ambush they had set up.
In debt for voluntarily saving her life, Prince Lore, the Fae Prince, requires that Samara help him break his curse over the next 7 days. So Samara, Lore, and the fox, because of course the fox, begin to travel together.
Understandably, the first chance she gets, Samara flees. She runs far and wide and grows weary, finally falling asleep in a field of poppies.
Gotta love poppies. She is awoken by a dryad fairy named Old Mother, who helps her get ready to attend the old elf king's royal ball.
At the ball, she ends up dancing with the Goblin King and with Prince Lore. Both males are obviously very smitten with this very human rando girl that just showed up to this party.
And probably hasn't bathed in a month. Anyway, the Goblin King wants Samara's hand in marriage and says that he and Prince Lore must duel to the death.
But the fox interjects, saying that because her betrothed just died the same day, Samara is due 1 year and a day to make a decision. And so the 3 leave the ball.
But Samara soon grows tired again. Lore decides to carry her to the kingdom of Larkspur, where they stay with Lore's brother, Kardec.
Kardec tells Samara that he believes that Lore believes he is cursed, but is unsure if Lore is actually cursed.
The curse goes something like this. Lore is cursed to be hopelessly in love with a woman who does not even know he exists, and he has been this way for the last 7 years. Sounds, super coincidental, doesn't it?
Over breakfast, Kardec and Lore are alerted to the intruders on Kardec's land, and Samara's brothers are still hunting her.
So Samara, Lore, and of course the fox leave Larkspur in search of the Witch of the Woods, who will be able to tell them where they can find the wishing tree, which is how they'll break the curse.
So convenient. On the way, the trio come to a stream and decide to bathe, finally, before camping there. While bathing, Samara and Lore share a kiss, which confuses Samara because Lore is cursed by true love. Why would he kiss her?
I don't know, Samara. Anyway, that night, Samara is roused from sleep, and Nixies, who are like water demons, river demons, whatever, enchant her back into the river, where they attack and drag her under the water. But Lore comes to her rescue.
Even though he just saved her life, Samara is still mad at him. So she storms away through the forest, dripping wet.
And all that day, the weather turns icy, which, bad news for Samara dripping wet. So icy, in fact, that travel becomes impossible and they need to find shelter or die. So Samara, the fox, and Lore hunker down in a shelter for 2 days while the storm rages outside. Lore sets a fire and gets everyone nice and toasty again.
While Samara sleeps, Lore takes off his prosthetic hand and drifts off to sleep. When he awakes, Samara has his hand, and now she knows exactly who he is. The Fae Lord she lost 7 years ago, but never stopped loving.
And of course, they have a yelling match about it. And we find out that Samara was hurt because Lore left her 7 years ago after, get this, her brother cut off his hand. And Lore is upset because he thought Samara cut off his hand 7 years ago and thought she didn't want him.
What a misunderstanding. But they come to an understanding that they were both wrong. Yay! And the two express their feelings for one another, and things get nice and spicy. And even though the fox is right there with them, the poor fox.
Yeah, this was like one of those amazing, rare moments in a book where the people talk to each other, but only two of the people talk to each other, and then they forget that the third's there. And and it's like, of course I knew what you were doing. If the top bunk moves, the bottom bunk moves. Anyway, the next morning, the three leave and soon stumble upon the Witch of the Wood.
She makes a bargain with the fox. If the fox and the Lore do her chores, and if Samara helps her cook and clean, then she will help them find the wishing tree.
So they do as she asks. Samara and Lore still find time to get super sexy and spicy in the stables before the trio spend a harrowing night separated.
Samara is awoken in the night as the witch attacks her. In a terrifying confrontation, Samara cuts off the witch's head in a fight of defensive rage.
But it doesn't come without a price, right? Samara is injured. So the fox heals Samara's wounds as Lore gathers the witch's eyes and claws and sets the cottage on fire. And then the trio departs.
With no information on the wishing tree. But don't worry, we have eyes and talons. So they travel through the enchanted forest that day and stop in the evening to camp. By burning the witch's eyes, the fox and Lore learn where the wishing tree will be.
It will appear in a valley surrounded by the glass mountains at the next full moon, which is tomorrow. Conveniently.
As the fox settles down to sleep, Lore and Samara get super duper spicy on the hill beneath the moon.
If anybody's been following along, it went like spicy, super duper spicy. Like there's a progression here, right? Anyway, the next morning is day 7 of the journey and also the first day of the full moon. So the trio head for the glass mountains and arrive before nightfall.
Lore and Samara fasten the witch's claws onto their hands and feet in order to begin scaling the mountain.
Yeah.
But Samara's brothers attack, shooting Lore with an arrow.
So the fox and Lore battle the brothers, giving Samara time to start climbing the mountain.
Halfway up, Hans unalives Fox, but Fox transforms into a man and unalives Hans.
Because, Jackal, the third brother, climbs after Samara. I didn't really know how to summarize what happened on the side of the mountain, so just Samara kicks him to his death. He falls.
And that is when the black raven sinks its talons into Samara and flies her away towards the wishing tree. I did appreciate that the black raven came back.
Mm-hmm. Samara hacks at the raven's talons with the witch's claw, causing the raven to drop her into the wishing tree.
Samara grabs an apple, wishes for Lore to no longer be cursed, takes a bite, and then nothing. she blacks out.
Or something. Lore and the fox, or should we call him Friedrich now, scale the mountain somehow and find Samara unconscious and cold at the foot of the wishing tree.
Lore, overcome by grief at having never told Samara that he loves her, cradles her body in his arms and whispers his heart to her and gives her true love's kiss.
Yeah. Samara immediately awakens. And guess what? Laura's no longer cursed, if he ever was.
And the two live happily ever after.